Well, I think as Christians we're to grow through the whole of our lives. So leadership is something that we are constantly developing and constantly growing. And I think anybody who's a leader can become a better leader. And so that needs to be our perspective. We should never think we've sort of achieved a level of leadership competence that can't be improved. So it starts by recognizing that we can become better leaders. And therefore we have to think about what can we do to enable ourselves to become better leaders. We need to be intentional about developing our leadership skills. And I think there are a number of ways that we can do that. Firstly, we might find somebody to lead us. Often we need a mentor or a more senior leader to help us to develop. Sometimes it needs somebody on the outside to enable us to understand our weaknesses and our strengths. So for many of us, we need somebody else to lead us who's got greater experience and can help us to develop those skills. Secondly, we can benefit from the example of other leaders. So there are lots of other Christian leaders, and I think many leaders learn from seeing the way that other leaders lead. So it's really helpful to spend time with other leaders, talking through issues of leadership, learning from their experience, learning from a peer group. In fact, sometimes learning from younger leaders who might be doing things slightly differently because they're of a younger age, perhaps they're in a slightly different culture. There are things that we can learn from engaging with younger leaders. So we need to see every engagement with other leaders as an opportunity to learn. Thirdly, I think we learn from our own experience. So we need, as we exercise leadership, there are some things we'll do well. There are some areas where we make mistakes. We need to just be self-aware and take the time to reflect on our leadership. What's worked well? Where have we fallen short? What lessons could we learn? How could we do it better next time? So our own experience helps us to grow in leadership. And then finally, there are a vast range of resources available. It might be conferences, it might be books, it might be seminars, it might be video resources. There's a plethora of resources available to leaders, and we need to just make sure that as part of our program and ongoing personal development, we're making best use of those resources. So I, as a leader, I always try to be engaging with something that involves questions of leadership and how to be a better leader. I pick from a range of different resources. And I find that helpful because it's constantly stimulating me to reevaluate my leadership and to skill up in core leadership areas.